All right, folks, welcome back. Happy Friday. By the way, Friday, right? Doesn't every day seem like a week? So much coming out of the administration. Unbelievable. Trump's he picked Kelly Loeffler for the SBA. Pete Hegseth, boy, that goes back and forth, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. But that's going back and forth. Greg Kelly over at Newsmax says, not Pete Hegseth. Don't put Pete Hegseth in there. I'm like, wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. Greg, you're a pro-Trump guy. I love Greg. Greg's a smart guy. Greg's a Marine. Greg, what's this all about, Greg? I mean, maybe Greg wants a job. I don't know. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Greg, too. Pete, Greg, can't go wrong either way, folks. It's just, I think we need to support Trump's picks right now. And I know we can all see the light at the end of the tunnel because now, 1 month ago, this nation, a nation-saving decision by the folks, by the voters, was made to send Donald Trump back to the White House, freeing us from the horrific possibility of being led by yet another absolute clown. Unfortunately for our friends over in Canada to our north, they're a little bit further along that route, a little bit further from that elusive breakthrough. In fact, their government just keeps getting more and more lunatical and radical.
Today, the government is adding a further 324 unique makes and models of assault-style firearms to the list of prohibited firearms in Canada. This prohibition takes effect immediately. This means these firearms can no longer be legally used, sold, or imported in Canada and can only be transferred or transported under extremely limited circumstances. As part of that process, the government of Canada has committed to the Ukrainian government.
Do you believe that? Isn't that something? Canada going full-blown commie. They're going to take people's guns away just to our north, just literally our northern border, and ship them off to Ukraine? Wow, we got plenty to say about that and more. Let's react. So Trump's idea of making Canada a state, our 51st state, making more and more sense by the day, don't you think? It's clear that these people have no clue how to govern to our north. Taking people's guns away, well, that's bad enough, but then shipping them off to Ukraine, well, that's just the icing on the cake. By the way, it's probably something Joe Biden would love to have done, too. I'm just going to say it. The Ukraine super funding has got to stop. We all know about our own current president's shady ties to Ukraine. When you consider the past, the never-ending donations, the taxpayer-funded handouts, well, it looks a whole lot like blatant money laundering, because I'm sure Joe, well, I shouldn't say I'm sure. I'm guessing Joe and his pals are going to get something back in return from Ukraine. Just can't figure out what it is yet, but we'll know. Eventually we'll know. But now Canada bans 324 types of guns, bans them. And, of course, Zelensky's going to get a nice little present, a nice little delivery, folks. I see a very, very scary trend here. In Canada, rightful gun owners are now going to lose their firearms. Ukraine is set to benefit from this transaction again. In America, we all pay tons and tons of taxes. Our dollars are basically lit on fire. And, of course, Ukraine has benefited from that taxation. Are you seeing what I'm saying here? Are you seeing the pattern? Canada, kind of like the Joe Biden presidency. So when law-abiding, tax-paying citizens suffer, Ukraine tends to benefit. Why is that? Because Joe and the liberals want to take care of Ukraine for whatever reason. I'm guessing, I don't know. I'm guessing Ukraine pays into these Democrats' election funds. They have to. I'm sure they are. In fact, I think Mitch McConnell, the Republican, current, soon to be replaced, but current leader in the Senate, has said that Ukraine was spending money on businesses here in America. So let me get this straight. Taxpayers send our money to the government. Joe Biden decides to send it to Ukraine, and Ukraine sends it back to people that have supported Ukraine. This is like the worst Ponzi scheme in the history of the world. And right in front of our own eyes. What has Ukraine ever done for us? Did they cut a check after the superstorms that left countless Americans either dead or homeless? No, they didn't see that check. Did they help us out during COVID? You know, when our economy was basically on its ass and Americans were dropping like flies? Oh, they didn't help out then either. Did they do anything during the Summer of Love riots when cities were burnt to the ground? No, Ukraine just kept their mouths shut. Well, what about when East Palestine, Ohio was poisoned by a train derailment, or when the Francis Key Scott Bridge collapsed in Baltimore, was hit by that super tanker? Did Ukraine help us? I'm sure they sent something like, I don't know, maybe a get well soon card, maybe $50 on a gift card, right? Nope, not at all. The answer would be a big fat resounding no. But they did do something. Well, they did something for Joe. They hid Hunter Biden's secrets. I'm sure the big guy paid a pretty penny for that. We paid the pretty penny, but Ukraine has never lifted a damn finger for the United States. I'm sure there are plenty of Canadians who feel the same way. Biden and Zelensky are political thugs. Throw in Justin Trudeau now, who help each other under the table as their respective countries suffer. So I think we should just jump online and read into some of this stuff. Do some digging. Speaking of Biden and his band of political thugs, did you see some of the names, again, we talked about this yesterday, who are next on Joe Biden's pre-exit pardon list? Well, yeah, it's amazing. Dr. Fauci, who I would say could be responsible for 7 million deaths worldwide, 1 million here. He's the one who sent our taxpayer money to the Wuhan lab to gain of function research, which actually caused the virus that leaked from that lab to kill so many people. Dr. Fauci is at the center of that. But so he's getting a pre-exit pardon by Joe Biden. It's not for sure yet, but it looks like he's going to be one who gets one. Wow, folks, wow. Liz Cheney, you know, Liz, her father was George Bush's right-hand man during the weapons of mass destruction fiasco. Never met a war I didn't love. Liz Cheney, she's going to get a pardon. Adam Schiff is allegedly going to get a pardon, too. Basically, anyone who deserves to be held accountable and go to jail on the Democrat side is going to get a clean slate from old Joe. This screams guilt. It screams guilt. Biden may issue pardons to these anti-American losers, but the court of public opinion has already issued a ruling. Everybody knows that Anthony Fauci is a slimy, sleazy character. You can't even call him a doctor. Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff are both useless. Again, everybody knows this. So enjoy your pardons and know that nobody in this country will ever respect you again. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, remember her? She's a wackadoo. Another wild Democrat who no one respects. Well, old Joe isn't going to pardon her yet. I don't know what she did yet, but he might, but you never know. But she did have some pretty insane takes on the United States national debt.
These people that have now been put into position or have been at least put up to be put into position, maybe they should start paying their fair share. We can start right there. Instead of looking for cuts to things such as PBS or looking for cuts to things such as SNAP benefits, or looking to make sure that we cut down on the workforce for Social Security, or maybe even cutting back on Social Security. Maybe we should start with making sure that we have more income coming in. And I can guarantee you Elon Musk has a few extra dollars that he could lend to help this country out.
I don't even know where to start with that nonsense. I have no idea where to start with that Jasmine Crockett. Typical, almost a Bernie Sanders type talking points. Tax them more. Let's get more free income for people. Are you out of your freaking mind? That's not how it works, Jazz. That's how it works. It's the free market. You allow people to create. You allow people to make money so that they can hire more people and pay people more. Elon Musk has contributed more to society this year alone and is worth more than any dollar amount Jasmine Crockett could possibly name. He's restoring free speech in America. He's working to eliminate excess governmental waste at his own cost. He doesn't have to do this. He's doing this because he cares about the country. What more could you ask for this guy? What more could you possibly ask for this guy? Not to mention, a couple of years ago, probably last year, he paid his taxes so far. He does extensions, obviously. In 2021, Elon Musk paid $11 billion in taxes. Again, $11 billion. That's not enough. That's not his fair share. Jasmine, Crockett. Maybe the solution to our debt problem is to stop spending our tax dollars on your radical, stupid, dumbass, green dream deals. Fortunately, Doge is going to help make sure that happens. A new Senate investigation found that just, get this, 6% of federal workers show up to work in person. Let me explain that again. There are about 3 million federal workers, about 3 million or so. Only 6% show up in person. 94% of the federal workforce works from quote unquote home or wherever the hell they might want to be at the time. Meaning these massive, wildly expensive federal office buildings, hundreds of billions of dollars of federal office buildings are empty. Empty. We own them. You paid for them. We support them. We heat them. We cool them. You paid for them, but they're empty because dumbasses in D.C. swamp let 94% of the payroll work from home. I wonder what Jasmine Crockett thinks about that. Maybe save a few bucks there, Jazz, because to me, that seems wildly wasteful. Wouldn't you agree? Well, let's end with this one of the biggest stories of the week, the invasion of privacy happening in the bathrooms on Capitol Hill. Yep, we talked about it yesterday, but it continues today. Folks, this obsession is getting weirder and weirder by the day. And they thought we were weird? Tim Walz said Republicans are weird? You freaking Democrat liberal weirdos are weird. Look at this pervert right here, a trans activist recording himself using the women's bathroom in the Capitol building.
I'm coming in the ladies' room to shake the dew off my lily. I'm going to shake the dew off my lily. I'm going to pop a squat. I swear nothing bad's going to happen. I'm just going pee. Ooh. So I'm sitting in the toilet and I'm going pee. I know this is newsworthy. I don't know why. But I just wanted to let you know that everything's coming out okay. And I hope you have a really nice day.
I'm sorry you had to deal with that. The trans activist, dude dressed like a lady, as he put it, popping the squat. I mean, do I really need to hear that? I guess we had to see it, hear it. It's just getting weirder and weirder, folks. First of all, are these deranged lunatics really going all the way to the Capitol to record themselves in the bathroom? Doesn't anyone have a job these days or a hobby? You know what I just figured out? All these activists, these trans weirdos who are going into bed, they probably work for the government. They're working from home. That's how they're working. They're probably taking videos of themselves going to the bathroom in the opposite sex's bathroom just to violate other people's privacy. Why do people think this type of behavior is normal? I can assure you, one way or another, Republicans will ultimately win the bathroom wars because logic always wins out. Hopefully, nothing terrible happens before them, but the incoming administration has no tolerance for this BS, and this little fetish of theirs certainly is BS. All right, folks, we've been talking about Goya for a couple of months now. A great friend of mine, Bobby Nonway, runs Goya. But in 2021, Goya launched Goya Cares, a global initiative to protect children, educate children on mental health. Goya Cares is providing schools and community centers with a preventative education curriculum and a free assembly that includes the viewing of the Goya Cares movie called Press Pause. Press Pause is intended to raise awareness regarding mental health issues, abuse, and bullying among children, teens, and others in our communities. Press Pause is an educational film following 15-year-old Sofia Rodriguez as she navigates adolescence, self-doubt, an abusive relationship among her parents' turbulent divorce, set within the cultural context of her Hispanic family. The film explores her discomfort with unwanted attention from her uncle and the pressure pressures of maintaining a facade of perfection in high school. It introduces Press Pause campaign promoting kindness and self-advocacy, highlighted by Sophia leaving a note saying, "You matter," for a bullied peer. The film encourages open family communication about mental health and culminates in Sophia's transformative realization of her right to seek help through the power of empathy and small acts of kindness. Press Pause displays the importance of being proactive in supporting one's community and underscores the critical importance of self-advocacy. All right, folks, now for today's Truth Bomb. Well, this is all over the place yesterday. So the acting director of the Secret Service was on Capitol Hill, and he was being grilled by Congress. And I will tell you, remember, this is the guy who took over right after Trump was nearly assassinated. This guy, there were a lot of problems in the Secret Service. We almost lost Trump, actually twice. He should be there to answer our elected officials' questions, not fight with them. Watch.
Who's usually at an event like this closest to the President of the United States, security-wise?
The SAC of the detail.
Special agent in charge of the detail. Were you the special agent in charge of the detail that day?
Actually, let me address this. Could you please? And that is the day where we remember the more than 3,000 people that have died on 9/11. I actually responded to Ground Zero. I was there going through the ashes of the World Trade Center. I was there at Fresh Kills.
I'm not asking you that.
I
I'm
was
asking
there,
you
Congressman.
were you the special agent in charge?
To show respect
You were not.
for a Secret Service
that's a bunch of
member
horse hockey.
that died on 9/11.
Oh, that you were trying to be.
Do not invoke 9/11 for political purposes.
Oh, I'm not. I'm invoking this.
You are, sir.
Gentlemen,
and you are out of line.
I would like to ask him a question.
Please.
You are
Order.
out of line, Congressman.
Don't
Way
try
out
to
of
bully
line.
me. I am an elected member of Congress, and I'm asking you a serious question, and you are
I
playing
am a public
politics.
servant who has served this nation and
You
spent
won't answer the
time
question.
on our day, on our country's darkest
Mr.
day.
Chairman,
Committee
you
will
not
come
answer-
to
Do not
order.
politicize it.
Committee will come to order.
I'm asking you serious questions for the American people, and they're very simple. They're not trick questions. Were you the special agent in charge that
No,
day?
I wasn't. I was there representing
Mr.
the
Chairman,
United
I'm
States
just
Secret
asking you yes or
Service,
no.
sir.
Mr. Fallon, your
and
time's
did not
expired.
affect protective
Fallon,
You know
operations.
why you were
time's
there?
expired.
Because you wanted to be visible, because you are auditioning for this job.
All right, so that was Ronald Rowe, the acting director of the Secret Service. And, you know, honestly, Pat Fallon, Congressman Pat Fallon, is 100% right. There's no question in my mind he's right. Trump was almost assassinated twice. And then when you saw that picture of Trump standing next to Michael Bloomberg in New York City, and you can see the acting director is 4 or 5 people away, and the person in charge of making sure Trump doesn't get shot again is nowhere even in that picture at all. Fallon's right. And by the way, this guy's an acting director. There's no way that guy lasts in the new Trump administration. Raise your hand right now if you want to see Dan Bongino take that role. Head up the Secret Service, clean that ship up. I don't know why he'd do it. He makes a lot of money, but Dan really could do a great job with that. Truth bomb, folks, right there. Boom. All right, folks, he's not even in the White House yet, and you can see America. Well, we're correcting ourselves already. He's not even in the White House yet, and there's been a massive shift, something in the force. You can feel it, right? Can't you? President Donald Trump officially won the presidential election exactly a month ago on November 6th, and in just a month, there seems to be a seismic shift already happening. The lights have been turned on, leaving the cockroaches scurrying, aren't they? Some of them are trying to come back in and say, oh, I was always pro-Trump. Media people, Jeff Bezos, Mika, Joe, bullshit you were, BS you were, liars. Illegal immigrants getting up and leaving on their own with an inkling of what's to come. Universities, corporations, they're leaving those woke policies, those DEI principles behind upon the threat of potential tariffs. Our neighbor to the north flies all the way down to Mar-a-Lago. Carbon footprint be damned, to make a nice save face meeting with Trump. A candidate for defense secretary forced to endure the Kavanaugh treatment from the left and their media comrades. And he says, try me, I'm fighting on. The Supreme Court is leaning away from life-changing, sex-altering surgeries for minors. He's not even in the White House yet, and there's a disturbance in the force. You feel it? In their force. Let's get into it. After the big win announced in the wee hours of the morning of Wednesday, November 6th, exactly a month ago, we watched and reveled in the meltdowns. Legacy media admitted they got it all wrong. The women of The View telling lies and then forced to retract those lies. MSNBC's Joe Scarborough and Mika meeting with President Trump for a tete-a-tete, a bit of kowtowing, so to speak, after literally calling Trump Hitler and a fascist for months. Liberal women chopping off their blue hair in protest of a Trump win and swearing off sleeping with their men who voted for Trump. The days and weeks after have been quite a treat after nearly 4 years of enduring their utter bullshit. But the past couple of weeks have proved just a tiny little snapshot of things to come. The country is adjusting. The world, by the way, is adjusting for Trump. There's a pre-Trump world and there's a clearly post-Trump world. Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, they're already rattling and shaking up Washington on both sides of the aisle, by the way. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, is already revealing some of the spending insanity among our three-letter agencies. It's really quite something to see when you really look at it. Check this out. And for you, those listening, we have a picture of this, but this is a tweet just looking at the National Institutes of Health, or NIH, in 2023. Get this, the NIH spent $759 million on workforce diversity and outreach. Now it's going to go bye-bye. $611,000 on evaluating microaggressions among Latinx individuals with obesity. These clowns spent $88,000 on the role of estrus cycle and nucleus accumbens signaling on incubation of oxycodone cravings in female rats. I can't even repeat that again. I have no idea what that even means, but they got 88 grand to do that. Why on earth are you and I paying for this estrogen thing in rats who are taking oxycodone? So this right there, what they're doing right there, this is what Americans have been looking for. This is what Americans have been craving, a full disclosure, the truth about how our hard-earned tax dollars are being spent by those clowns in government, a government with a clear political agenda. We want to see balance sheets. Enough is enough. The creation of DOGE is actually far more monumental than people might understand, which is why it's currently gaining steam, both sides of the aisle. This is about putting the power to a far too powerful big government back in the hands of the people. This is about a much-needed overhaul about how Americans think about the relationship between their government and our own interests. Is there any relationship at all anymore? Or is it just the interests of the politicians that we're electing that they care about? Something that hasn't happened in decades is about to happen with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, all because Donald Trump said, hey, you two smart guys, come help me clean the place up. Reducing government is a long-time conservative goal, and it's one I'm fiercely passionate about as a libertarian. The great President Ronald Reagan had a line that he always used to use, and it's phenomenal. And he used to say this: government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it. Isn't that the truth, Ronnie? Changing that status quo is no longer just a, quote, ideal, Musk and Ramaswamy are on the road to making everything better. It's also a new day and age when it comes to squashing the legacy media and their attempted takedowns, as we all saw before and during the confirmation hearings of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh during Trump's first presidency. Well, that was on full display, an excessive, brutal attempt to destroy a man's entire history and character just because he was a Trump appointee. Well, here we go again, except that the American people are disgusted by what they've seen for the last 10 years. They know what the legacy media is and what they're up to and who and what they serve and who they protect. And now we watch what's happening to President Trump's pick for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. And despite reports that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is being floated as a replacement, Hegseth and Trump for that matter, refuse to stand down. Pete Hegseth is defiant in the face of all the pressure from the left, even calling out the media to their faces. Unprecedented. Before Donald Trump started referring to them all as fake news, would that have even happened? Without Trump, just weeks away from being back in the White House, would that even have happened? This is the seismic shift that we're talking about. They're bringing up an exchange between Hegseth and his mother, 6 unnamed sources making claims of incessant alcohol use. The attacks, as expected, are ugly, brutal, but Hegseth, he's not having it, rejecting calls to pull his bid for defense secretary, saying he answered to one person, President Trump. And the Senate, they wouldn't be surprised by pressuring him to jump out, but he won't. What doesn't mean that the legacy media hasn't actually learned from their mistakes just yet, because we just heard yesterday Jeff Bezos looking like he's about to change his tune, his news organization, and make it more balanced, the Washington Post. There's clearly a resistance to actually doing so. When Joe Biden awarded the Bronze Star, think about this. Joe Biden awarded the Bronze Star to an intelligence analyst in his term. The Washington Post, Jeff Bezos' own Washington Post, called it one of the Army's most prestigious awards. Washington Post, Bezos. But when talking about the fact that Pete Hegseth earned 2 Bronze Stars, that same Washington Post, and I'm quoting, says, actually, they're pretty common. Same magazine, newspaper, same owner. Different strokes for different folks, I guess. And there's this, CNN spending 2 minutes of their broadcast talking about a Washington Post segment about how Hegseth consumed a beer. Yes, a single beer during a St. Patrick's Day segment.
And we just have to sort of put some meat on the bone here, which is allegations keep coming out of various forms. One of them was at the Washington Post yesterday, which reported at Fox News, Hegseth had a reputation as a heavy drinker. That's according to 6 former Fox News employees who worked directly with Hegseth and saw him drinking on the job or visibly drunk at work events, and who spoke on the condition of anonymity out of fear of retaliation.
How sad that little network has become. Their ratings are declining, they're diving, they're crashing. And of course, there's the rhino standouts, still an ongoing issue and concern, where they're clearly choosing not to actually follow through with what their constituents have voted for and want, like standout Senator Joni Ernst. But then again, just to understand what Joni Ernst is really all about.
Today, many people across the United States are honoring the life of George Floyd. And so I would just encourage everybody to take pause and really reflect upon the loss of his life and recognize that it was taken way too soon. And it is very unfortunate that his death was the catalyst for talks that needed to happen a very long time ago.
Interesting, right? Frankly, we're told that Hegseth has enough votes to make it to the Post actually successfully. And that's enough for us, because what's also enough for us is this: watching a who's who, meaning who's on the side of righting America's wrongs and truly making America great again, and who just isn't. It's not about there being resistance to Democrats and those pretending to be Republicans. That much we expected, but we've also talked about it here on the show for weeks now. It's just how much the impending second presidency of Donald Trump is showing us exactly what's what and who's who, even if we needed confirmation that the legacy media has learned nothing at all after Trump's decisive victory. We have it. Washington Post, New York Times, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, even under threat of being brought apart and ripped apart, they have learned nothing. And America needs to understand that. We need to see that Democrats have learned absolutely nothing and want nothing more than to retain any grip on the power that they can. And we most certainly need to see those Republicans who are looking to stop the progression of President Trump and MAGA, the rhinos, the establishment. They're worse than the liberals. Those are all wins in my view, by the way. We need to see the cockroaches scurrying now that the lights are being turned on by Trump, so we know exactly what we're dealing with and how to proceed and move forward. They know what's coming and what's happened. And so we know exactly why Joe Biden would stoop so impossibly low to blanket pardon his own son for more than about 11-year period, which clearly includes his own questionable ties. Let him do it. Let them reveal themselves, because it only proves what we've been saying all along, time and time again, that these people, meaning the left, meaning the Democrat Party and the rhino establishment Republicans, actually have no interest in serving this country, Americans, or their own voters. For them, it's only about a self-serving globalist agenda. It's only about protecting the swamp as they know it. And now, there's all but confirmation that Joe Biden will also preemptively pardon the likes of Fauci, Cheney, and Schiff. Really disgusting. And let them show us exactly that we were right. Because despite slight setbacks all along the way, which are, of course, expected with a disruptor like Trump, the shift is palpable. I know we all feel it and we already see it. It's already okay. It's already okay to question trans people in bathrooms now, right? One win. Trump won. MAGA is already winning before he even sits in the Oval Office. It's too much for them to handle on the left, which is why the left is back to their old antics and their tactics. Yet again, it's the only thing they know how to do.
There are going to be times, potentially, when one side tries to stack the deck and lock in a permanent grip on power, either by actively suppressing votes or politicizing the armed forces or using the judiciary, the criminal justice system to go after opponents. And in those circumstances, pluralism does not call for us to just stand back and say, well, I'm not sure. That's okay. In those circumstances, a line has been crossed, and we have to stand firm.
Well, so what was that again about rigging the election and weaponizing the justice system? Pot, kettle, Barack. And you know, they've left nothing left when they resort to deflection from their own crimes over the past 11 years. Barack Obama spearheaded the mess we now find ourselves in with his own two hands in two terms. The division, yes, on him, but also the corruption and leftist lawfare on Joe between Obama and his lawfare cohort, Hillary Clinton. The damage is done, not just to the perception of our government, but to our government itself. It'll take years or decades to unravel, and the fact that Barack Obama continues to stand on the stage and spew that kind of dishonest venom only shows you just how much we've won and continue to win. When they resort to calling us fascist, when they resort to saying that we're going to carry out the very things that they have been guilty of carrying out for years, lawfare, election lies, then you know we've won. Trump isn't even in the White House yet, but he did win, and already we're seeing and feeling like there's nothing but winning ahead for us too. Make America great again, folks. All right, this is crazy. Well, we all sit and wonder why that United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson, was assassinated, shot in the back with a silencer in the early morning hours on Wednesday in Midtown Manhattan. There's this wackadoo, this former Washington Post and former New York Times journalist, we'll call her a journalist, not really, Taylor Lorenz, wackadoo, essentially celebrating the death, the murder, taking to the liberal clown snowflake version of Twitter called Blue Sky, saying, and I quote, "And people wonder why we want these executives dead." Can you imagine saying that? Man had a wife and two kids, shot in the back on the streets of Manhattan. Sounds about right, though. It's about what we would expect from that kind of person who, I don't know, let's call her a mega doxer, old crocodile tears Taylor Lorenz. Remember when she doxed libs of TikTok? But CBS, really CBS putting out a segment about those people celebrating the murder of that CEO.
This morning, we still do not know why the CEO of United Healthcare was murdered on Wednesday here on the streets of New York, but some of us have been really surprised by the reaction online. Many have shared their very deep frustration with the health insurance industry.
I have never seen Americans so united on something as I have over the last 24 hours in the comment sections on these news articles about the United Healthcare CEO.
If you think that I didn't need anesthesia to have surgery, you're insane.
I'm having a hard time being empathetic to the situation whatsoever, because this is a billion-dollar company, okay, that denies access to people every single day.
Really, CBS. New lows reached every single day, it seems. They're struggling, they're dying, and digital, we're surviving. All right, that's it, folks. It's Friday. Have a great weekend. As every Friday, I tell you, if you've listened, listen to me. Listen to me. You're 15-1. Take the teams that are playing the Jets or the Giants every weekend. Close your eyes and do it. You'll lose sometimes. You've only lost once in 16 tries. You may lose this, but listen, Jets are playing at Miami. They're getting 5.5. Take Miami. New Orleans playing at New York Giants. Giants are getting 5. Take New Orleans. That's it for bowling. We'll check in with you again on Monday. I hope we go 17-1. Bowling out.